Welcome to Bliss Live. I'm Cassie Begley, the founder and visionary for Bliss Dance Festival, aka BDF. BDF is a weekend of celebration, and what are we celebrating? Women's sexual empowerment. Our festival is set for August 6th and 7th, and it's only less than 3 weeks away, so register right now on Eventbrite. We are highlighting women choreographers while empowering women to celebrate their sex, sexuality, and sexual desires. How are we doing this? Well, we've got 2 days of super sexy workshops: erotic chair dance, sexy selfie, striptease dance, erotica writing, BDSM mistress workshop, sexy heels dance, and fantasy exploration and discussion. We also have a masquerade after party with the incredible DJ Liv and several pro go-go dancers. And let's not forget our main event, the mini dance films that our featured choreographers responded to with this year's theme, Her Wildest Fantasy, which I'm so excited because tonight we're talking with BDF featured choreographer Amita Batra. Let's welcome her now. Hi, Amita.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Yay! Doing great, and I'm so happy to meet you. How are you doing?
Good, it's a pleasure to meet you guys as well. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. This is just your, ordinary Wednesday, hanging out, live stream for the whole world to see. You and me and Stephanie, our ASL interpreter.
Yay!
Woohoo! So we are here to get into it. We're here to find out more about you. And apparently I talk about myself at these interviews too. So I'm going to go ahead and do that too. Oh, and speaking of myself, I just want to point out to our viewers right now that I have, it looks like 50 necklaces, but it's really only 6 beautiful chains that Missy from Prim Boutique put together just for me and just for you to check out. Prim Boutique is over in downtown Pleasanton, and I'm probably there once a week. I'm not gonna lie. It's a slight addiction I have, along with other nice clothes like lingerie or something. But yes, these are the chains that she put together, and it's something I would never have thought to do. So thank you, Missy. Thank you, Prim.
Those are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. See? Yes, I feel like $1 million in these. They don't cost $1 million. Don't worry, you guys.
They look like it, but
yeah. And I see that your t-shirt, is that a Friends t-shirt you have on?
It is a Friends t-shirt that I have on. It's honestly the only t-shirt that I have left before I have to do laundry, so you guys got lucky.
Well, I'm a huge Friends fan, so yay.
Yeah. Who's your favorite Friends character?
Ooh, that's a good question. Who's interviewing whom here? It doesn't matter, it's fine. Let's see. I would say it's between Monica and Phoebe. Maybe Monica. I feel like I really relate to Monica, her type A personality. I mean, I can relate that too, but I think it's Monica. She's just like so, she's a little bit firm.
From the 5 minutes I've known you, I think Monica is a good fit.
Oh, is that right? Let's go clean, everybody. Yes.
Oh, nice work.
What about you? Who's your character?
I'm probably closest to a Phoebe, but I also really love Chandler. So
that actually I think it makes sense, and I've just met you, but I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we can all be defined by 2 Friends characters. I read this the other day.
Oh, but yes.
Anyways, we'll let you do the question asking now.
Okay, well, let's get to it. So here we are. Here's our first question. It's a simple one. It can be. The question is, who are you? Because I don't know you well yet, and our viewers don't know you yet. Well, maybe some of them do. I'm not sure. but who are you and how do you identify yourself?
That's a really good question, and I think there's both a simple answer to that and a complex one. So I'll go somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
But for starters, my name is Amita Batra. If you guys didn't know that already. And I am a evolving person, I would say. I consider myself sort of a blank canvas who is getting painted on with each life experience that I get to have and hold. And so I feel like I'm a really evolving person. And with respect to what I identify with, I grew up in an Indian household to first generation immigrant parents, and I grew up learning two very different dance styles, one of which is Kathak, the Indian classical art of storytelling, and the other of which is ballet, which then got me into contemporary dance as well. And so, that whole what do I identify with question really sort of has been a question in my own mind with respect to who am I. And so growing up, I was like, am I a South Asian kid? Am I an American kid? Am I a Kathak dancer? Am I a ballet dancer? Like, who am I? So when you ask me that question, I have to tell you that culmination of all of those things, as well as my own life experiences, and I'm just evolving as a human being.
That's great, and it's probably going to keep evolving. I would hope so, right?
Yeah, I think we're all on our own journeys, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Do you have other do you have other hobbies or other passions in your life besides dance?
I would say that I'm a really passionate storyteller, and so anything and everything kind of attracts me. It really just depends on the environment that I'm in and the people that I'm with. So I've done everything from running with the bulls, I've jumped off of mountains, I have been to some really interesting temples in life, and basically I feel like I love just taking life as it comes, and that's my hobby, I would say.
Hmm. Are there anything, so I'm totally going off script now
Yeah.
because I'm just curious. Do you have like a bucket list? Are there certain things that you look forward to doing?
I think it's really hard for me to. I'm a person who can't predetermine things or predefine things, so I'm kind of a take it by the day sort of person because I believe that when we start to create super tangible goals, we limit ourselves to doing things that help us achieve those specific things, and then we miss out on the rest of life. So, yeah, I hope that kind of answers that question.
Oh, it does. It definitely does. Yeah. I mean, I can see that, but I know that I've had, things that I want to do is like travel. Like one of the things I really wanted to do when I when I turned 40 was jump out of a plane. So that was like one of my bucket list things, and it happened. So that was good. That's when I turned 40. Who knows what you'll be doing when you're 40? I think you have a few years in front of you before that happens.
A little bit.
Can you tell us? Well, you just told us about your dance background, and what about choreography? What are some of the topics you have choreographed about?
So, with respect to choreography, and this kind of ties into my dance background as well, growing up, I didn't really know where I fit in with respect to life and with respect to dance. So, right now, I'm working on a dance style that kind of defines me, which is a blend of all the dancing that I've done in my life. But mostly it stems from two styles, one of which is again Kathak, the Indian classical art of storytelling, and the second of which is modern contemporary. So I like to take a lot of those techniques and ideologies to find my own sort of body language. And then with respect to, say, the topics, I find inspiration in almost anything, but mostly the things that I like to explore are very, very real and human stories. So an example is I just taught a dance class that was about dance film, how to create films. So the entire dance class was about, it was two characters, two dancers, each of them played a different character, and the first character was a person who is remembering a person, place, thing, or idea, and the second character played the memory. And the entire piece was about how our memories are always present within us, no matter, even like sometimes we think we can feel them, but we can't relive them. So I like to explore different topics of like human of the human experience and what happens in the subconscious mind as well as the conscious mind together.
Mm. This class that you are taking, you're still in it right now?
It's one that I taught. It was like a workshop style of class that I taught a couple days back.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like a 2 hour intention driven dance class.
Mm-hmm. And can I ask, where did you teach this?
So I'm in New York right now. So I taught it in New York.
Oh, how wonderful! Wait,
Yeah.
you're in New York right now? Are you visiting, or did you move there?
I live here right now.
Okay.
And yeah, like I said, I'm kind of a take life as it comes. So this is my home for the time being. I used to live in LA before this, and I am thinking of coming to the Bay Area in September, probably not August, but in September. So we'll meet.
Yes. Where in New York? I lived in New York for a little bit too.
Oh, I am in Hell's Kitchen right now, so literally on 48th and 9th Ave. So if
Okay.
whoever's watching this, please don't come to my house. But yeah.
48th and 9th. Okay. Erase that from your memory, everyone. But there's a lot of people that live right there too, so I think you're safe. Okay. And how do you like it over there? How's New York life right now? How's the art scene?
Oh, I love it. So, like I was telling you, I used to live in LA for a little bit, and just comparing the two, I like New York a lot better for finding voice because I feel like things are more raw and artists are more open to doing new and different things without a commercial sort of background, which has been super beneficial to me. So I love it.
You get to explore and experiment. Have you been meeting other dance artists or other artists in general?
Tons. Yeah, I've been working on a lot of independent projects as well as choreographing for different sorts of things. So I just did like an off-Broadway production of Aladdin, which is pretty cool. So I'm just kind of finding my space here as well.
Oh, fun. That's exciting. Gosh. How long have you been there so far?
I moved here in April, so not been too long.
Mm-hmm. And you're still there.
I'm still here. It's
You're
a good
still
place.
there. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. What made you decide to want to choreograph about your wildest sexual fantasy?
I think that the reason this topic appealed to me so much was because I feel like my interpretation of sex is a little bit different from what is conventional when we think of the word sex. So I was keen on sort of sharing this perspective.
And So you're saying that your definition of sex is maybe different. And can you tell me, can you tell us what that is? What is your definition?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of influence in my life comes from the spirituality of the eastern half of the world, specifically India. But coming back for a second, I think that there are obviously two parts to sex, right? What I consider sex is the highest form of sort of fulfillment on earth that we get to experience as human beings, but we oftentimes forget that there's an entire emotional side to that, whether we call it love, whether we call it being one with yourself. And so that emotional fulfillment is the highest level of fulfillment that I feel. Is why I consider it my definition.
So your definition of sex is emotional, highest emotional fulfillment. Is that right?
Yep. I would say I would broaden it and say it's the highest form of fulfillment, but it happens to be emotional for me.
And so beyond, so we're talking about beyond the physical act of what we consider sex.
Yes.
So can it be, I was thinking, what else can it be? Like the physical act, like what else can it be besides like sex? You know what
So
I'm talking
I'll give you an example.
about? Mm-hmm.
What I mean by emotional fulfillment is really being one with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when I dance to specific songs in a specific environment and I really get to feel the essence of who I am, I feel incredibly fulfilled beyond words. And to parallel that to the physical aspect of things, it's orgasmic.
I would agree. I would agree. And you know, that's interesting because that's something that I've related um, dance to. I'm like, it is like dance, sex, worship. I mean, it all feels very intertwined.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I get what you're saying. Yes.
It's a
Um,
little abstract, but yeah.
I love it. And I think dancers who, especially maybe dancers who improv or freestyle, can really feel that. At least it is for me. Like I don't know about you. Do you feel that when you improv? When I improv, I feel like sometimes it just goes to a higher place.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, after you've performed choreography and all, it's good. But when you're getting to speak from your own voice, that's your own body language, it is again that form of fulfillment.
Yes. And you know, and speaking of improv, I just need to give a shout out to Kyle Myers, somebody out there that I used to improv often with at the dance studio, and we both just be like high off of our dancing and our music, and yeah. So hi, Kyle, Queen. Thank you,
Hello, Kyle.
Queen to you too. Okay, let me ask you another question. That was a good one. I really enjoy talking with you, Amita.
Me too. I like it when people think I have cool things to say.
Okay, what was the choreography process like for you?
Interesting question. So this piece that I created for this dance festival was over the pandemic. So it was at a time when I was very isolated from the rest of the world. So it gave me Basically, in Indian classical terminology, there's something that's called a jilla, which is where you take 3 to 4 weeks out of your life, disconnect from the world around you, and just practice and practice and practice and meditate in your art form, basically. And they say that if you complete 4 jillas in your life, you're like untouchable. So coming back to what the choreographic process was like, I wouldn't say that I went on like a full-fledged like disconnection from the world, but because we were in the middle of a pandemic, I was disconnected from most people. I wasn't spending a lot of time online, and I was living by myself. So I basically eat, sleep, and breathe music and dance. So for me, the process was very natural in that when this festival came up, I had already listened to one song so many times that I knew exactly the language to tell this story with.
I remember when we first communicated and you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, that's that. Yeah. So that's great. And it's great that you had the opportunity to immerse yourself in your music and your dance um, and that solo time for yourself. That's great. Because a lot of the rest of us, we did that too, but I think that a lot of us dancers stepped away from dance. I know for myself, I was all about technology and this virtual dance festival. Yes.
Yeah, go you. Do something different.
Something oh, for me, technology, yes, is something different, that's for sure. um, I'm wondering, when you were choreographing and you're putting together this whole concept, did it feel sexy to you?
Very much. It did. A lot of the piece, and I know you've seen it, but for our viewers, a lot of the piece is being one with myself. So a lot of the movement style that I use is like closing my eyes, being within who I am, just feeling and appreciating the parts of me. So it did feel very sexual and one with myself.
How about we all do that together? Let's just this. And Stephanie got to do it too. Yes.
If you try it, like seriously, when you go home or when you get off of this, you try it and you close your eyes and you literally just breathe like you're meditating and then do it and then tell me how you felt.
Hey, she just gave me homework. I love homework because I am a Monica and I
Yes,
love homework. So I'm going to do it. And who else wants to do it with me? I think we should all do it. I'm down
there's
for it.
no option. I haven't given you an option.
There's no option bad. She's good. I like that. I like that. So my next question, and some of these questions I've been asking, as I interview each week, and it's just because it's interesting to find out everyone's answers. Often it is hard for women to talk about sex and our sexual fantasies, and you just choreographed about it. Are you able to talk about it too? Are you able to freely talk about your sexual fantasies? I can already answer that question, but go ahead, you answer that.
I think the answer to that is yes and no. Because so much of what I've said to you about the intent and the thought process is very internal.
Mhm.
So I have no problem like communicating it with myself, but it's a whole other ball game when there's other people involved. So yes, I think this helps me break those barriers, but I still think it's a journey for me.
This choreographic process, is that part of your journey, you think?
Absolutely. I think it's a really big part of my journey because what I realize is the more that you know yourself, the more comfortable you are around other people.
Yeah. And then the more questions come up too. It's a never-ending journey, which I love. I mean, that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's life.
Are there certain things that you do that make you feel empowered and extra sexy?
Okay. This one really stems to like Indian classical dancing and Bollywood even. I'll stretch it there. But there's a thing called Ada, which basically means like attitude, style in a way. And there's a very small and subtle thing that we do, which is basically like lifting your eyes super slow and then like making eye contact at the end of it. And I think that's so friggin' empowering.
And that's in the video, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. That's right. And you know what? You know what's interesting is that you look different. You look quite different from the dance video. And
It
the
could because of I dropped my phone in the toilet, so yeah, it's a little cloudy.
okay, so besides that, I mean that's we're calling it a special filter. You have a special filter on your phone right now. It's permanent and it's like you're in the clouds. You're in the clouds. I was in the toilet, but that's okay. But yeah, but I did notice like when we met before this live stream happened, and I thought, oh my gosh, I your dancing was so mature, so it's mature and thought out. Like I can see how intentional everything was, and very intense too. Your piece is quite intense. Your emotion is intense. And talking to you now, it's when I first saw you, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so young. And talking to you, I'm like, oh, look at how mature she is, though. You don't need to cover your face. But yeah, hearing you speak, I'm like, oh, she's so mature, just like you're dancing, and so
Thank you.
open. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing all of this with me and with everyone out here. So that's great for us.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
And it's funny. My next question was, do you have a dance move that makes you feel extra sexy? But you did it. And what is it called again?
Um, so the general term for that type of subtle movement and any like stylistic movement is called Ada.
Ada.
Mm-hmm.
Ada. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to leave with our viewers?
Come to Bliss Dance Festival.
Yes, exactly. Come to Bliss Dance Festival. And thank you so much for coming and meeting with me and sharing everything with everyone. Really appreciate you opening up to us. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me and setting this whole thing up. Big round of applause for Stephanie. And
Yes.
oh,
Big round of applause for Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you so much, everyone out there, our Bliss friends and family, for hanging out with us tonight. We are so happy to share all the intimate details with our Bliss friends and family. That's you. Don't forget to register for Bliss Dance Festival right now on Eventbrite. It's happening August 6th and 7th right here with Amita Batra. Thank you. Good night and sweet dreams.
bye.